Hello, and welcome to Behind the Spires. I'm Ed, and this is...
Hi guys, I'm Molly, and we are your friendly neighborhood city employees, bringing you the stories and people shaping life here in Frederick.
Absolutely. Each episode, we go behind the scenes to talk with the folks of Frederick, bringing their interesting and newsworthy work forward. So be sure to see these bright faces on the video podcast over on YouTube at City of Frederick, Maryland.
And today, we are talking about Boomtown.
Boomtown.
A very exciting movie premiering at the Weinberg Center later this month on January 24th. It is a two-part docudrama about a city you guys may know a little bit about, inspired by the book From the Brink to Brilliant. The film centers on a turning point in Frederick's history. That's right, our very own downtown Frederick. In October 1976, a devastating flood destroyed priceless film, photographs, and historical records, nearly breaking the spirit of our community.
I was not born yet.
Wow, that long ago.
That long ago.
Wow.
Downtown Frederick survived because of bold leadership, committed volunteers, and a handful of rebels who turned tragedy into an economic engine. Today, we're joined by filmmaker Salyer McLaughlin to talk about the story that almost disappeared and why telling it matters now. We're so excited to talk to him today.
Yes, so let's get to it, and we will be right back after a quick break.
When a snow emergency event is declared for the city of Frederick, help out the city and your neighbors by staying informed, keeping snow emergency routes clear of cars, and following city guidelines for private property responsibilities. Visit cityoffrederickmd.gov/snow, download the iSpires app on your smart device. By working together, we can keep the city of Frederick looking majestic during the winter season and safe for all who need to travel.
And welcome back, you guys. We're so happy to have Salyer with us today, the filmmaker behind Boomtown. Salyer, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
To kick things off, for those who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I wrote and directed Boomtown. It's my first feature film. I come from a long history of filmmaking, though. I learned it out when I was living in Los Angeles. During my youth, I went to UCLA Film School for a while, and then I started making films for Warren Miller, ski films, going up on the tops of mountains and shooting skiers. And then I got a job with Body Glove as their creative director. Helped take that company to the top of the sportswear charts back in the 80s. And then I had a couple production companies doing a lot of fashion music videos back then, and then started making short films and commercials and documentaries. But this is the first time I've done this is about 65, 70-minute long feature film. Yeah.
Yeah, so this debuts, the big premiere is, or screening and premiere is going to be at the Weinberg on January 24th. We're very excited.
Yeah.
Give people a brief synopsis of what the movie's about.
Okay, let me reference this. This is the official line. So this is
yes.
We've shot this in two parts, mostly because of the way the funding worked out. So this is based on a true story. It's historical fiction. Some of it is embellished, as historical fiction is.
Right.
It's based in large part on the story I read of Kate McDermott. It's called From the Brink to Brilliant. And when I read that book, it's currently in print now, it inspired me to make this movie. It's a short 120-page, roughly, a book, but it's about Frederick's Renaissance. It took place, between 1975 and current day. Yeah. And so this documents how a small group of rebels back in the 1970s led a revolution in Frederick, Maryland, that would save their town and spark a renaissance, a boom in creativity of all American city proportions. Years later, Lexi Brown, a young revolutionary podcaster and college student at Hood, studying art history in the fall of 2025, sets out to uncover what triggered this revival that her father, Amos Brown, had documented in the local newspaper. And what she begins to realize is an even greater vision for the future. It's a docudrama. It's really a tribute to this town and the great story that this town has lived through. Mm-hmm. And it's just an amazing time right now because it's a lot of things are converging, including this being the 250th anniversary of American democracy.
Absolutely.
The 50th anniversary of the Great Flood of 1976, which just about took out the town. The 50th anniversary of the Weinberg and the 50th anniversary of the Frederick Arts Council, all of which play important parts in the making of this movie and the story behind it. Basically, it's been a 3-year project for me, trying to figure out really what the special sauce is here in town. Like what is it? Is it the people? Is it the culture? Is it the atmosphere? Is it the art? Is it the preservation? Is it the buildings? Is it the leadership of Ron Young and Don Linton and some of these guys? Or is it just the beauty? So that's what the story's about, is trying to uncover that. And so we have a young Lexi Brown, who was Amos Brown's daughter, comes to town and tries to unravel what it was that took place after the flood. Well, really our story starts in 1945, a scene that takes place at the Francis Scott Key Hotel. We were celebrating our bicentennial, our 200th anniversary. So that was 1945. Just so happened that on that same day that the war ended, World War II ended, the Francis Scott Key Hotel had organized a gala to celebrate the town's history and to celebrate 200 years of democracy. So that was a huge event. Claire McCardle came, and a lot of other famous dignitaries came, and Senator Tidings came from Washington, D.C. and spoke. So that's one of the first scenes in the film.
That's awesome.
So 1945, yeah.
Had you been to Frederick before, or were you familiar with Frederick, or you picked up this book and you
I've lived here since 1996. So I moved here from Los Angeles. My mother is was a pretty well-known muralist, historic wall murals. She lived to 98. She was on the front page of the newspaper when she died. So the town must have thought she was a pretty special woman, and she was dedicated, her latter years to documenting Frederick and the great scenes of Frederick and incorporating all these historic scenes into her murals, which she painted 110 murals total, a lot of which sit in buildings here in the downtown area and the region of the Mid-Atlantic region.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I moved here from Beverly Hills, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, and my father had passed away, and I just needed a change. And my mom was living in Gettysburg, and she wanted to move to Frederick. She kept telling me about this great little town. To me, it was a cow town back in 1976. When I graduated from high school, it was not really on the maps. We would not come up here from Bethesda.
Right.
And lots happened in those 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a small town, best small town in America, according to Reader's Digest.
I mean, according to us, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, beyond the plot of the movie, what is it that this film really hits home for you? What is it really about for you?
Yeah, you talked about the secret sauce a little bit.
So it would have been the easiest route would have just told the story through one of the lead characters, Ron Young or Bert Anderson or one of those rebels back in the 70s. But I chose to tell it from the first black photographer's point of view, which was Amos Brown, and he had been hired by the News Post in 1968, and then climbed up the chain at Frederick News Post to become the chief of photography the night of the Great Flood. So he was in charge of sending out all the photographers across the state to cover the flood. Basically, the first half of the movie takes place in one night. It's his flashbacks to things that took place during that period between 1968 and 1976. And I just felt it was important to just have another perspective on a new set of eyes looking at the history of Frederick. And then it's his daughter, Alexi Brown, who comes to Frederick in 2025. He died in a car accident soon after he left Frederick in 1970. He left Frederick in 1977. Died in a car crash. In a very ironic way. The one photo that Amos Brown is probably the most famous for was the picture of the car, and it hits a pole. It went through, over the AP wire across the country, and it's a car kind of lifted up by a pole. And wouldn't you know that Amos died the same way in a car accident this way. So that's a really kind of emotional moment in the film. And she now is she's mixed race. He married a Latino woman. And so she's got this very interesting coloration. And now it's from her perspective, looking at Frederick in 2025 and how it's been transformed and how that happened.
Right.
So you get some interesting perspectives on the history of this town.
Yeah.
And why did I choose that? Because I think it's really important. You know, the film is all about trying to change our perspective. We might be looking at the exact same thing, but it's how we're looking at it. Really, I believe we might need to alter that, because we're in such an important time right now, and this film really deals with, like, we're better off together than we are apart, and perhaps we need to change our perspective, and perhaps the things that Frederick did right and has been doing right for 50 years, maybe we can learn from that history that we preserved. And a lot of this, for me, like, we have this great, rich history, but there's a lot of defiance in this history. You know, we were the first judges. I don't know if you all are aware.
Stamp Act Repudiation Day, yes.
Right, which, some claim was the roots prior to the Boston Tea Party that led to the Revolutionary War. We weren't going to pay the British taxes anymore, and we weren't going to put those stamps on our materials. Barbara Fritchie and that story is very interesting, whether it was Barbara Fritchie or someone else. Just the concept of that defiance, So
I like that you called it rebels. Like, you call them rebels because we're a town of rebels.
Yeah. We are, and that's another thing about Maryland. I mean, Maryland was a neutral state during the Civil War, so we didn't take the northern side nor the southern side.
Yeah.
We were kind of the crossroads. We were at the Mason-Dixon line. I have family from both the South and from the North. My family from the South is really interesting. The name LHN Salyer, which I take the middle name of, my great-great-grandfather was Stonewall Jackson's colonel, Maine colonel. Fought in the big battles in Gettysburg and Chancellorsville, was there at Appomattox during the surrender. So I know all about the Southern and the Northern, but both perspectives. And that's a big reason why I think I made this film, was to try and reconcile both of those perspectives as much as I could. Yeah.
And you talked a little bit about, as we approach, the 250th anniversary, and you referenced all the other, like Weinberg turning 100 this year, all these different things.
I'm 50, Weinberg turning 50, because the Weinberg was formed and the Frederick Arts Council was formed because of the flood.
I thought the Weinberg was turning 100.
Turned it over. No.
Okay.
No, the Tivoli was there before the Weinberg, when it was renamed after the flood.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So did this, I love how you talked about the different perspective and putting on a different pair of glasses to see the things that we've experienced. Did this change, like, your view of U.S. history? You referenced your family and how it gets told. Like, you're using your art to bring people into history. And
well, we're all trying to. A lot of people are trying to erase certain parts of our history,
right?
And that's just unfair. This town has made great strides to try and preserve what it is that took place, and be honest in that storytelling, and that's so important. It was guys like Bert Anderson who started the east side of town, really, who bought Chabreau. He bought Antique Imports, was big into the imports business back in the 70s when it was at its peak. investing in these old buildings that were once, ghettos, almost slum buildings, preserving them. At the time, other small towns were wrecking their downtowns and they were not preserving their architecture. We did it differently. We very early on realized the importance of preserving this great architecture. So decided not to bring the train through town at an interesting moment in time. Instead, it went to Hagerstown. A lot of warehouses are needed to store the various goods that trains bring to towns. And that one decision led to the difference between what Hagerstown is, which is it's a beautiful, great town, but they lost a lot of their important history and their architecture because of that decision, whereas Frederick did not. And it so it started back in the early 70s when we really started noticing the value of the buildings, and it was Operation Town Action and some other civic groups that were raising awareness in the community to the importance of doing that. So, yeah, preservation is a big part of this story. The truth about our history and admitting what we were and what we are, and hopefully using that to help guide us now in the future.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I love hearing all the history and everything. I want to hear a little more about the process for the movie, though. Walk me through the journey, from idea to the final cut, your favorite scenes, favorite shots, a challenge that you hit along the way.
Right.
2.5 years ago, I read this book. I was inspired by this book because for the first time I was looking at, a pretty short story of a story I knew I could tell in film. And so I approached the author of the book, Kate McDermott, who's been a huge force in guiding this town with her writing. She's a brilliant writer. I read the book, and then I went to her and I said, I want to try and protect the concepts that are here. I need a year to try and raise the money. And then I went to Rick Weldon, and I went to some others, Richard Griffin, Dave Zdelis, Karen Norman, and I said, what do you think about this? I want to make this movie. Will you guys support us? And they said, sure, yeah, we'll sign an endorsement letter. So, $500,000 practically later, money that we've raised through the foundations and corporate sponsors, we've made this film. And it has not been easy because these are all recreations of scenes. So this is not a documentary. This is a docudrama. Historical fiction is what it's called. Kate always likes to remind me that's historical fiction. And it's true. You finally got me to realize that. I mean, it started out as a documentary film. And then I came to realize there was another film being made by Russ Hodge. I figured I didn't want to go that direction, so let's just recreate the whole thing, and let's just use real characters, use their names, and let's just start shooting scenes. And so I wrote half the movie over the course of 6 months and produced that, showed that to a bunch of people, sold out a bunch of shows at warehouse cinemas, and then was able to use that to raise the rest of the money we needed to tell the rest of the story. It's challenging when you're recreating real people because everybody, you don't need to ask permission if you're going to feature somebody in your film, if it's historical fiction. Documentaries are a lot simpler. You just interview the person. They give you the narrative structure that then you use archival newspaper and magazine articles to then back up. With what we're doing, it's a docudrama with all recreations. So you're basically having to write the dialogue based upon history that you're reading, but you have to do it in such a way that makes it entertaining and compelling at the same time. So you have to take some liberties with it, which we did. Everything's based on the truth, but some of the timelines are compressed a little bit.
Right.
So that's challenging because you're dealing with people like Ron Young and Don Linton and Bert Anderson who have these massive reputations in town, and you want to do honor to their character. You got to hire somebody that looks close to them because you're also referencing newspaper articles in your movie. So you want it to look as close as possible, so it looks like a resemblance. And then you've got to find good actors, and that was one of the biggest challenges too. We had to go to New York and Miami and Philly, but we got some great actors for this film. It took about 400 people. The credit list is about 400 people deep.
Wow.
So it's, it took this whole community really to put together.
Is anyone coming to the premiere who was in the film?
Oh, they'll all be there. They'll all be there. Yeah.
And so what can we expect from the premiere? Is it just going to be a screening?
Premiere's going to be just magical because of all this alignment of all these different anniversaries that are taking place, and just a recognition of 50 years of Renaissance and a recognition of what it was that Frederick did that set it apart from other towns that did not do as well, did not make as good of decisions.
Yeah.
And this is about recognizing, what that is that makes this town such a special place to live.
Yeah. And so what do you hope, in wrapping up, how do you hope this film fits into the 250th semi-quincentennial discussion?
Yeah. Our rights are being taken away from us every day. We may not realize it, but our creative freedoms are being stretched thin. Our ability to rise up and rebel is going to be challenged and is being challenged every day. Those things are being manipulated, at the highest levels. And it's really important for us to understand what's worked in the past, how we got here, and now what we have to do to protect that from being dismantled in the future. So our story is really about protecting American democracy, and what a precious thing that is, and how much for granted we sometimes take that because we've been living this way for 250 years, unlike a lot of other countries who have not had those freedoms. So the overarching message here is protection of our creative freedom. And Lexi Brown is a revolutionary, and her podcast show is called Unmuted. She's taken what happened in the history of Frederick and she's applying it now to her podcast and what it is we have to do to make sure that we ensure that we protect what we have.
I love that. I love the idea of you mixing in that storyline with the past. I'm really, really excited to see the movie. Where can people see it if they don't go to the premiere?
Yeah. So at the Weinberg, we have two shows at 6:30 and at 9 o'clock. And then we have the entire month of February, a limited release at Warehouse Cinemas every Thursday and every Sunday at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. So we've got about 20 screenings there. And then we'll go on the film festival circuit. You can see it as part of we're going to submit to the Frederick Film Festival. This has been something that's been in the works for a while. Clark Klein, who I started 72 Film Fest with, which is in its 20th year now, Clark and a big team are producing the Frederick's Film Festival, which hasn't been active for a number of years. So now Frederick's going to have a really nice film festival. They say they're trying to mimic it after the South by Southwest, which is a really cool film festival that takes place. So
that's awesome.
They've got multiple venues. And so we'll submit the film for that. And then, it'll be streaming Amazon Prime, Vudu, Tubi. It's not a tourism film. And yet at the same time it is, because it is, it's really putting Frederick, downtown Frederick, in the spotlight. Like, what is the special sauce that makes this town what it is? So if we can get even more support than what we have right now, being able to get this out to all the Maryland State arts councils, for instance, art is really the prime, the central focus of the film. Like, it was creativity and courage, is the way Lexi puts it, that saved the town. So creativity in all kinds of different ways, not just art, but in the way we preserved our buildings, in the way we've done our politics, in the way we've included the different nationalities and races in this town. the creativity. And so if we can get this, if we can get others to promote this across the state, I mean, this is basically an example of how a small town can save itself and what we did. And so other small towns can learn from this. So Main Street's a big part of the story as well. Like we became a big Main Street designation back in the early 2000s, thanks to Richard Griffin and Kara Norman. And that helped us a lot at that point. And now recently we've been named one of the best main streets in America.
That's right.
Yes.
Very proud of that distinction.
Yeah.
So what's next for you after this film?
Yeah.
Do you have anything on the horizon?
We have a couple films in the works. We have a film that we can't go into too much detail on because we're trying to protect the ideas here, but it does involve one of the lead characters in Boomtown, and let's just say she was involved in the fashion industry.
Aha! I think I might know. Very cool.
And then I've had a screenplay in the works for about 7 years now, called Arcadia, which is a young woman has a near-death experience. She sees the future, and by seeing the future, she's able to come back to the current day and save the world, basically. Ooh. But it's a cool thing that happens in an underground nuclear facility. Is one of the locations, and in a Mars Society sort of pod colony is another one of the locations. So it's a very high budgeted film. I'm going to need a couple more films directing under my belt before we get to that.
Yeah, so that one's not set in Frederick.
Yeah, it won't be set in Frederick.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to see it.
Yes, and you have a trailer up on tickets. Trailer up on YouTube. People can watch.
We do, and we have a brand new trailer that'll be out today or tomorrow.
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah. So
if it looks anything like the first trailer, beautiful cinematography.
Yeah.
He's the production guy, and he was like, "This is beautiful."
So, we shot that at the Baltimore Museum of Industry, where they have a bunch of the old printing presses, and linotype machines. The way they used to lay the type in is fascinating. Really, these big old machines, so much time and energy to create a newspaper 8 columns deep, and that was another choice. We thought telling it from the perspective of the newspaper was a good idea because this is, since 1983, the Frederick Newspaper is the longest running business in town. The newspaper, they have this great vault of information and photography, and so we were able to tap into all that.
It's awesome. They're the keepers of the story.
The keepers of the treasures.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it. A big part of it. And interesting enough, we almost lost all of that history in the flood because a lot of it was stored in the Chamber of Commerce, which was on the creek at the time, and the basement flooded and had all the archival film and photography. A lot of it disappeared in the flood, and that's the opening scene in the movie.
Wow!
So part of why we're doing it was to recreate some of these scenes that were lost in the flood.
Wow!
Yeah.
Well, we're really excited. Everyone, you can check it out January 24th, 6:30 and 9 p.m. at the Weinberg Center that is celebrating its 50th birthday.
VIP at 5 if you can still get tickets.
VIP at 5 if you can get tickets.
Yeah, you can still get them.
And then after that at Warehouse, we'll put up all the information so you guys will be able to check it out. Salyer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for giving us the time.
Yeah, we're so happy to see it. We're so happy to meet you. And we will be right back, you guys.
I compost because I want to reduce the amount of waste that goes to the landfill every day.
I started composting with Compost Crew this year.
I turned my scraps into something useful for the environment. City residents can compost for free, so sign up to start making a difference.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, you guys. And before we wrap up, we talked a little bit about USA 250, and we want to share all the exciting events happening here in Frederick as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States this year. Frederick is joining communities across the nation and marking this milestone with some very special events and programs.
Yeah, kicking things off at the end of this month is Boomtown at the Weinberg Center on January 24th.
And in April, don't miss the Music of the Regiment on April 12th at the Evangelical Reformed UCC Church, a free event exploring classical and military music traditions from the Revolutionary era. And the America 250 History Fair on April 26th at Cale Creek Park, a walk through history highlighting Frederick County's role in our nation's founding.
Then on July 4th, Frederick's annual Frederick's 4th and Independence Day celebration returns to Baker Park with live entertainment, family activity, foods, and what is that? Fireworks. The largest 4th of July celebration in the country.
Also in July, I'm very sad to be missing this. I'll be at the beach, but the Landless Theater Company presents the musical 1776 at New Spire Arts over several days of performances. 1776 is a powerful community-centered production about the birth of our nation.
How much do you think it will cost to get them to come out to the beach?
Ooh, let's find out.
Throughout the year, the city is also undertaking a public art USA 250 project, inviting residents to share their hopes for the next 250 years of Frederick. These contributions will become part of an interactive installation at City Hall.
Yes, and there are even more regional and statewide experiences tied to the semi-quincentennial through Visit Frederick and the Maryland 250 Commission, offering history tours, cultural experiences, and ways to explore Frederick County's rich history as part of America's 250th.
Yes, for a full list of dates, times, and event details, check out the city's USA 250 celebrations page on frederickmd.gov/USA 250. Remember to also email us at behindthespires@cityoffrederickmd.gov.
That's behind the spires at cityoffrederickmd.gov.
That's behind the spires at cityoffrederickmd.gov for any questions or episode requests. Before we go, we would like to take a minute to let you know that you can like and subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, all the places. But also, before we dip on back behind the spires, we ask just a tiny little favor. Tell your friends about your time here with us. And if you get a chance, a simple 5-star review. You can even do that right in your podcasting app. Your support will help us grow, and, we'd really appreciate it.
That's right. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time on Behind the Spires.
And remember, kindness costs us nothing. But you know what? It means everything.
Bye, guys.
Bye.